Hello again and welcome to Movie 2. 250,000 people saw these features in Movie 1. Stay with us and this time we'll meet Jack Nicholson, video's sexy and satanic superstar, and Julie Christie, the darling of the 60s who's making something of a comeback. We also look at Jacques Tati, that most elegant of French comics, and we've sifted through more than 100 video releases to bring you what we think are the most interesting. So here's our perspective on the world of films, all waiting for you at the touch of a button.
Stunts are like an addiction. It's the most fascinating natural high, actually. You know, it gets into your blood. It's something that you've got to have it.
A piece of cake. Don't stand there, go! Go!
Most of the stunts are quite easy. It's like you're going to walk in your car every day. You know, we have the fight routines, sword routines, little explosions, sort of jumping over bars and being hit with chairs on the head and all that. I've done, in fact, most of the major stunts on the last 4 James Bond pictures, as well as various others like The Wild Geese, North Sea Hijack, Sea Wolves, Who Dares Wins recently. I would say that they are the best action pictures we've made over at this side of the Atlantic in the last 10 years, and I've been lucky enough to work on them. People around you tend to be more nervous than what you are as a stunt performer. I can sense this when I go on the set. I can feel that there's nervousness amongst the people. But the thing is, one's confidence grows, you know, knowing that this situation does exist. And I tend to go and chat to these people normally as if there's nothing going to happen. I mean, I may be going to fall 150 feet, but I will talk about the normal thing, how they're going to shoot it, and I can feel from them that they're terribly nervous and frightened. But this is what I relish, and my confidence grows immensely. Originally, the stuntmen used to take a couple of shots of whiskey before they do a fall off a cliff. That has all changed. Today, you don't touch alcohol. Today, it's all calculation. At that time, it was sort of more or less hit and miss, take a chance. The stuntman I admire most, I would say, is a stuntman called Yakima Canutt, who's American. He did a lot of the major stunts around the 1920s, you know, the early days of action movies. And he did a very famous piece of action in Stagecoach. A stuntman expects to get shaken up a bit in his career. It's got to happen to you once. You've got to keep your head, and you've got to know exactly what's going on. regardless how complicated the situation might appear to be, if you lose your coolness, then all is lost.
Everybody freeze! Keep that camera rolling. If he's dead, we can't help him. And if he's hurt, 15 seconds won't matter much. And cut.
All right. Hey. Yeah. Woo! Now it's something else. Hey, dynamite done, man. Boy, went ass over. Did you see that cannon hit?
Now look. Well, I can live with it.
Jaws 2, Omen 3. The big companies like nothing better than rereading yesterday's till rolls. The real risks are taken in the independent sector. The movie casts a sympathetic eye over some of the films that got made in spite of the big studios rather than because of them. Woody Allen doesn't actually appear in the film, but it was his brilliant idea to take a Japanese thriller, strip off the soundtrack and lay a new one with American dialogue full of Woody witticisms. The result's a cross between Mad Magazine and Airplane.
What are we doing here?
I am prostrating myself before my master. Will the owner of the rickshaw with license plate number 406 please remove it? Your coolie has a hernia.
Good afternoon. I am the Grand Exalted High Macha of Rasper, a non-existent but real-sounding country.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we're on a waiting list. As soon as there's an opening on the map, we're next. It's rough with a new country. Do you realize the entire population is still packed in crates?
Good luck. I'm sure you'll get your country on the globe.
Thank you. I'm hoping for something between Spain and Greece. It's really much warmer there.
I hope you make it. I do, really.
And you will help me to do so. You, Phil Moskowitz, amiable zany, can help me. Gangsters have stolen my secret recipe for egg salad. And not only that, they kill, they maim, and they call information for numbers they could easily look up in the book.
Here's a free-range version of Shakespeare's last play with the text pared to the minimum and a characteristic Derek Jarman mix of gay and punk. Toya is the gravelly Miranda and Carl Howman plays Ariel. Jarman supplies a galvanizing finale of hornpiping sailors and Elizabeth Welsh serenading the company with stormy weather.
When he went away, the blues walked in and left me. If he stays away, old rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray the Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. I can't go on. Everything I've had is gone. Stormy weather since my man and I ain't together. Keeps raining all the time. 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 Keeps raining all the time.
Loosely inspired by the song of the same title, this film's really notable for the remarkable performance of Christy McNichol as the tough beyond her years kid, trailing along while her elder brother dreams of making it big in Nashville. She sings a few songs herself, and Star Wars hero Mark Hamill plays the friendly cop she meets along the way.
My name is Amanda Charles. I'm 16 going on 47. My older brother's waiting for me at a bus station in Garnett. He's a famous singer from Nashville. I don't have a driver's license, but I'm a damn good driver. And you should feel sorry for me because I'm an orphan. You should just give me a damn break.
You sort of got a tough side to you, don't you?
Yeah, well, I'm in the corner and I bite.
Jennifer Kendall, sister of Felicity, gives a colossal performance as a 60-ish Anglo-Indian schoolteacher who's gradually lost her place in modern Indian society. She clings to a young couple, flattered by their company, but finds that they're actually exploiting her. Despite many moments of warmth and laughter, it's a memorable study of dignity in loneliness.
2, 3, 4, tell the people what she was. It was an itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny, yellow polka dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. An itsy-bitsy, teeny-weeny, yellow polka dot bikini, so in the locker she wanted to stay. 2, 3, 4, stick around, we'll tell you more.
Janet Leigh's daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Adrienne Barbeau, the director's wife, star in this modern ghost story from the makers of Halloween. It's about a supernatural fog that rolls in on a small town. Zombie mariners emerge to haunt the citizens and worse. Carpenter's spooky shocker has some typically jumpy moments.
This has got to be a joke. Someone's at the front door, sweetheart, playing a stupid joke. And whoever it is, they ain't gonna like finding me home.
Dan, stay away from the door! Dan! Dan!
Hello? Anybody here? Some asshole got drunk and started taking this 100-year-old business too seriously.
A bit like an Ealing comedy for the permissive age, with Mary Warrenoff and Paul Bartel as an uptight middle-class couple who finance a dream of opening a restaurant by luring a succession of swingers and perverts to their apartment, bopping them over the head with a frying pan and stripping them of their assets.
Just a minute, I'll be back. What is taking you so long?
Can't you get him to do something to you? Hit you? Anything. I can't hit him if he doesn't make me angry. Honestly.
I made a mess.
Look, Bobby, if you want Mommy to discipline you, you're going to have to do what Mommy likes. Oh, yes, Bobby, Mommy likes that. Oh, don't bite me there, Bobby. Oh, Bobby, please, no. Bobby, oh, stop, stop. I can't stand it. Please, you're hurting me. Bobby, don't bite me there. No, please. Oh,
Even now, these creamy white shoulders are aching for the lash.
I will never tell you where they are, you filthy Nazi pig.
Oh. So, you want to play rough, do you? I will show you rough.
None of your damn business.
I'm the host here, goddammit! Now get out of your clothes and get into the hot tub or get the hell out! Yeah. We don't want any wet blankets or spoiled sports at this party. We're here to swing on weekend. Yeah?
Well, swing on this.
Won't stop thinking on me.
fighting. Jeremy Irons in a sensational performance as the leader of a group of Polish builders working illegally in London and tragically trapped when the tanks roll into Warsaw. Tag. It started as a game, but somehow it became deadly serious. The assassination game.
Hello, Connolly.
If you don't want to get hurt, don't play. Hammett, the brilliant, moody detective thriller set in Chinatown, Los Angeles. Frederick Forrest stars as the private detective turned crime writer, caught in a violent intrigue of prostitution, extortion, and murder. 3 movies from 3M Video. New from Embassy, An Eye for an Eye.
Stay with the setup!
Starring Chuck Norris, master of martial arts, in a private vendetta against the terrible power of the Triad.
I was born in 1945 and we didn't have a telly until about 1955, 56. And it was just traditional in our family, like for most working class families, you went to the cinema 2 or 3 times a week. It was a major relaxation. Other evenings you listened to the radio. And my mum in the late 50s was an usherette, so I could always get in free. Godfather 2 is so incredibly effective in terms of what it says about how ordinary people relate with power and how it changes them. Godfather is about a very American form of culture. It's that period of the last 100 years where all the tremendous strengths of family and community have been broken down and replaced by pure materialism. I think people tend to watch Godfather 1 and feel it's really quite warm and comforting, and here's a nice family, and Brando does good things in the community. Basically corrupt, but serving a community and an ethnic group, and therefore not wholly evil. Brando's generation passes away and it's replaced by the university-educated Michael, who understands how corporations work. It suddenly becomes a much colder and harder world.
Senator, we're both part of the same hypocrisy. But never think it applies to my family.
The sort of career of Michael, as he takes over the leadership of the family, you see how power can isolate, and that basic neurosis that once you've made your first enemies and your first mistakes, you're driven to eliminate their friends and supporters, and the circle of terror and death gets wider all the time.
Cato, you're nothing to me now. You're not a brother. You're not a friend. I don't want to know you or what you do. I don't want to see you at the hotels. I don't want you near my house. When you see our mother, I want to know a day in advance so I won't be there. You understand?
Mikey.
anything to happen to him while my mother's alive.
At the end, that closing frames of Godfather 2, where Michael is totally isolated and alone. I mean, he has eliminated most of his family, those that haven't been killed by others. Is so reminiscent of Stalin and so powerful. Every time I see it, I just come away cold, completely cold.
From outer space, from the man who brought you Glen Oglinda, Bride of the Monster, and Jailbait. The masterpiece of the macabre from Edward D. Wood, Jr. Sea-flying hubcaps hold an entire nation in thrall.
Tragic.
Tell me something. Why was his wife buried in the ground and he sealed in a crypt?
Something to do with family tradition, a superstition of some sort.
Oh.
Well, it's getting dark. Let's be on our way.
Gasp at the performances.
One of the boys take the guy and the girl back to town. You take shots.
Okay, Inspector. What are you going to do?
Look around a little.
Pretty dark out there. Once you get beyond the range of those lights, you won't be able to see your hand in front of your face.
I will get one of the flashlights from the patrol car.
Starring Bela Lugosi, who died on the job, Vampira, the femme fatale of the 50s, and Tor Johnson, with all his charm. Plan 9 from outer space. How much material went into these curtains? Where did the Trents get their patio furniture?
I saw a flying saucer.
Saucer? You mean the kind from up there?
Ah, yes.
Why was this
Plan
film
9
ever
deals
made?
with the resurrection of the dead. Long-distance electrode shot into the pineal and pituitary glands of recent dead.
Whose fault is it? Only the director himself, Edward D. Wood, Jr.
Black is the color. From the paranoid 70s into the anxious 80s, there's been a darkening of tone around many of the more intelligent films. Not just in thrillers, but right through to comedies. The movie takes a dark look at some of the best. Gene Hackman gives an outstanding performance as an electronic surveillance expert assisted by John Cazale in this powerful little film that Coppola chose to follow his Godfather epic.
How's he doing up there?
I always think how when they had the newspapers.
Well, we're getting better than 40%. What about the second position?
It's not so good.
Hackman's assignment is the bugging of a couple in a crowded park for a mysterious organization, but he gradually develops a conscience about the effects of his work, and the eavesdropping becomes a dangerous obsession.
Oh, what have we here? Okay, come on, you little babies now. Wet your lips there.
Alan J. Pakula, who went on to make the Watergate film All the President's Men, paved the way with this dark, edgy, cynical thriller.
I would thank you very much for inviting us here today, this Independence Day. Independence Day is very meaningful to me because sometimes I've been called too independent for my own good.
Warren Beatty stars as a reporter who investigates the conspiracy to silence all the witnesses to a political assassination and finds himself drawn into a web of intrigue. Even when Pakula turns to comedy, there's a cutting edge of anxiety in his sense of fun. Reynolds plays a man recently divorced from Candice Bergen, who starts to fall in love again, this time with a nervy schoolteacher played by Jill Clayburgh, even though their first meeting is hardly auspicious.
Get the fuck away from me! I've got a knife! I'll cut your fucking balls off, so help me!
Oh, Phil, come on in.
Mickey, you're not going to believe what
We're just going
happened.
to call the police.
What's the matter?
Oh, Marvin invited a friend tonight, and she was attacked by some pervert just a block from here.
Oh, Phil, this is Marilyn Holmberg. Marilyn, this is Michael's brother, Phil. On her way here, Marilyn was almost attacked by some pervert. Oh, I'm really not this kind of person. Oh, die. I could die. Oh.
It's the pervert.
No. Isn't that marvelous?
I took this
Would you have loved to be there?
self-defense course, and they told me that if somebody comes down the street and does something to you, you're supposed to scare the hell out of them.
You must have gotten very high marks in the course.
Phil, what exactly did she say to you?
I don't think that we should talk about that.
Oh, come on.
Phil, what did she say?
Nothing, really. She said, "Get the fuck away from me, or I'll take this knife and cut your fucking balls off."
A really well-bred person would not have repeated that.
Despite the critical roasting the film received, this is a bleak and bitter satire on the state of the nation. Lindsay Anderson represents Britain by the strike-torn emergency ward of a bankrupt hospital.
My transplants work. They are the future. Whose future? I save life every day.
Gentlemen, gentlemen.
If medicine was left to people like you, surgeons would still be operating in barber shops. You never rise above your mastectomies and gallstones. Charlatan! I can change life!
McDowell plays Mick Travis, hero of Anderson's If and Oh Lucky Man, this time meddling in the experiments of Graham Crowden and suffering a fate worse than death.
Welcome. Welcome to the world.
The decision to remake an old horror film of the 40s makes a lot of sense when you see the stylish essay on sex and violence that Paul Schrader's made of it. The story's basically the same, but more explicit. Malcolm McDowell and Nastasia Kinski are the cursed brother and sister who turn into killer cats if they mate other than incestuously. It's a fate that McDowell has learnt to live with, but his sister starts to fall in love with zoo curator John Hurd, with startling results.
Hey! Wait a minute.
Here we go. If you sail,
Sailing, sailing,
over the sea,
when you wait for me.
take my tip, they're all molto hip in Italy.
Well, I'll reduce you. As for France,
Oh, I know you're very big there.
yes, believe it or not,
I do believe, I do indeed.
the Frenchmen all prefer what they call les jazz high.
Hold me down, take a plane,
Oh, Baba do sat,
go to Siam.
Baba,
In Bangkok today, round the clock, well, they all like to jam. Indians on the Amazon beat one bar, and all of them are
well gone, man, gone.
From the equator up to the pole. Everybody winging Everybody singing that rock, 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 rock and roll from the east to the west, from the coast to the coast. Jazz is king, 'cause jazz is the thing that folks dig. That's jazz.
Before you go to sleep, Thorn EMI Video presents some bedtime stories.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Sweet dreams from Thorn EMI Video.
A deadly sorcerer is called out of nightmare by a ruthless king driven into evil. And a mystical sword is forged for a mighty warrior who rises out of legend to topple a kingdom. The Sword and the Sorcerer.
I have waited for you, John. What took you so long?
They don't make films like these anymore, so when you feel like something rather special, give yourself a matinee from BBC Video.
Spawned as she was by the 60s, Julie Christie owed her escape from plastic sex kitten roles to one man, John Schlesinger. She may have only been his second choice for the role of the free-spirited Liz in Billy Liar, but once she walked through those Bradford locations, Schlesinger knew that they were home and dry.
But I can't bear it. I just can't bear going on talking about myself. And, you know, having photos taken and all that, I just can't bear it. I think that's the worst thing of all. This constant demand on your time to do something, which is just about the worst thing you can possibly imagine to do.
That swanky, confident walk, so bursting with life, took Schlesinger more than a week to piece together. When it was complete, he said, everybody looked at it and said, my God, we've got a star. But the star's own enthusiasm swiftly burned out after an Oscar for Schlesinger's Darling, in which he played a brattish 60s swinger.
I'm not a person who's easily witty or in fact ever witty, or even a great conversationalist or anything. So it's a great sort of mental thing to sort of have to answer questions and talk about myself and then have photographs taken. You know you can't look an awful mess if you're having photographs taken and people come along and take photographs. You have to be always sort of worrying in case something's wrong, your lipstick's smudged or you haven't got your eye makeup on and everything. It's just a drag.
Julie Christie's screen persona today is more ambiguous. One foot in the past, the other in the present. She's the woman who looks to the future with dread and apprehension. She's the woman who romanticizes the past. In her new film, her co-star is Alan Bates, playing her amnesiac husband just returned from the Great War. She tries to help him remember the marriage in which she, at least, had always found happiness.
And sometimes we didn't do anything in the evening. I'd do my needlework and you'd smoke a cigar. And Jenny would play the piano. And once a year we go to Marienbad or Hamburg for the cure.
Is that all?
Well, it was a happy life, Chris.
Yes.
Well, doesn't it seem so to you?
Oh. Yes.
I thought it was quite perfect.
So many years in the making at a cost of so many $1 million. But what does it all mean if the movie isn't up to scratch? Movie looks at 5 expensive productions coming up on video where the producers put their money where their mouths were. This vivid, savage adventure is an unexpected package to be delivered by the usually more thoughtful and reflective John Milius. In fact, it's a Marvel comic book sprung to life. The young Conan spends his formative years on something called the Wheel of Pain, becoming first a gladiator hero and then both the Mr. Universe and the Errol Flynn of the mythical Hyborian age in which this misogynistic pulp thriller is set. After Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music, you'd think that Julie Andrews could do no wrong. But this costly biopic about Gertrude Lawrence took a dive at the box office. There was nothing wrong with the film itself, just that the public had had its fill of Julie Andrews, but she was sharp and sassy as the star. Since their marriage, Blake Edwards has been trying hard to melt the Julie Andrews sugar-candied image. In SOB, he required her to bare her breasts and become Mary Pop-Outs. Here she plays a female impersonator in the very gay Paris of the 30s. That is, she impersonates a man who impersonates women. A double sex swap. James Garner is her admirer, Robert Preston her camp follower. Even though Dennis Potter worked on the film script, his successful British television series never survived the translations from the small screen to the large and from 20s Britain to 30s America. Steve Martin was the song sheet salesman peddling dreams in the American Depression years, and though the musical numbers were skillfully staged, they looked pale when placed alongside the originals they were imitating.
There may be trouble ahead, but But while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance.
Always the same.
What is?
Come out of the movies, the goddamn world has changed. Goddamn rain.
Forget it.
German director Wim Wenders went to Hollywood at the invitation of Francis Coppola to make this semi-biographical study of the early days of Dashiell Hammett, originally a detective with the famous Pinkerton agency. Frederick Forrest plays Hammett, investigating a complicated case that will later serve him with the basic plot of The Maltese Falcon, and meeting the characters who subsequently came to the screen in the Humphrey Bogart film of that story.
How do you do, Mr. Hagdorn? I thought we should have a little chat.
Indeed, sir. I fear you have the advantage of me. Truly, sir, I do.
What's the story on you and Jimmy Ryan?
My God, sir, I think you and I are going to get along perfectly. I like a man who favors the forthright approach. You have a unique, persuasive style, sir. Perhaps a little lacking in finesse, but then polish isn't everything. Whom have I the honor of addressing?
Sam Hammett.
Hammett was one of America's greatest authors of crime fiction. The film took 2 stop-go years to make, but for all its troubles, it emerges as a gripping essay on the way in which stories come to be written, and of course, the way in which films come to be made.
From Polygram, the people who brought you the horror of American Werewolf, the tenderness of endless love, the drama of high ice, and the true story of McVicker. Now comes a grim tale of a simple farming community who hide a deadly secret.
You'll be damned in hell.
And 3 young women who would not believe in the power of the incubus. Three young women who dared to challenge the forces of evil. Are you ready to receive the deadly blessing? She came to South Africa to find happiness as the wife of a farmer, but instead found poverty, hardship, and degradation. John Thor and Karen Black in The Grass is Singing. Car Crash, starring Joey Travolta. The ultimate road movie, and one of the most spectacular stunt films ever made. Flame, a classic rock movie of the 70s.
It's all a matter of packaging. You don't even have to sing, just concentrate on looking good, all right?
Tom Conti and Slade, and 2 #1 smash hits. 3 movies from 3M Video.
Jacques Tati was the master of French comedians. He always appeared as Monsieur Hulot, a figure who, in his raincoat and squashed hat, became as loved and as famous as Chaplin's tramp. Tati always pointed up the little madnesses of empty technology and the ways in which people become enslaved by the machines they designed to serve them. And the machine at which Tati most liked to poke pointed fun was the motor car. In Traffic, the last of his films to be widely released, Tati gave full rein to his horror of the motor car. But his was a comedy of people in a world of objects. He remained as affectionate and observant as ever about the people inside the vehicles. Tati loved to show people being defeated by their own inventions. Defeated, but never hurt. There was no malice in his comedy, just the sadness of a man sounding an unheard alarm, an alarm about the dehumanizing effect of a world in which the individual came a poor second to the mass. Without uttering a word, Tatty spoke more eloquently about our brave new world than a dozen speechmakers. He held a mirror up to life and showed us ourselves.
Randall Patrick.
Yeah.
Feel like doing something?
I'm doing it.
You want some company? Huh? Want some company?
You want to be with me, right? Right?
Yeah.
Good. Go pack a bag. We're going to Chicago.
Walsh, just listen to me for a second. I mean, you love this. Now, then they go back and they screw a little bit more, and then they go out and they contemplate the moon or something like that. Makes it more exciting. So now, the guy goes home and he starts screwing his own wife, see? So he screws her for a little bit, and then he stops, and he goes out of the room, and he reads Life magazine. Then he goes back in, he starts screwing again. He says, "Excuse me for a minute, honey." And he goes out, and he smokes a cigarette. Now, his wife is getting sore as hell. He comes back in the room, he starts screwing again. He gets up to start to leave again to go look at the moon. She looks at him and says, "Hey, what's the matter with you? You're screwing just like a Chinaman."